Live from New York. What's going on, sir? Is your mic on?
One, two, three, four. Testing uno, dos, tres, cuatros.
I can hear you. I hope everybody else can. All right. I guess we'll find out. Hey, yeah. I have intro music. Are you ready? All right. Here we go. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Where is it? It's over here. Here it comes.
Yeah, I swear it's on its way.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Yeah.
Here we go.
And...
Here we go. Killing it. Are you guys ready? Seriously. What's the lag here? So you have too many windows open. You only have 1 gig of RAM. Stop it.
Yeah.
The computer's trying to think.
How many windows do we need?
All right, it's about to go. I swear. Or it's not. That's it. All right, welcome.
No, we gotta get it going, man. There we go.
I got permission from the artist today.
We gotta play it, man.
Here we go.
This is that Mars flow, rapping dope like I'm Pablo Picasso with the cosmos, got that big bang for your Tahoe. About big change like the lotto, it's training day, I'm Alonzo. In that clean black Monte Carlo, make your wheels turn like a cargo. Riding a beat like a heart go, I paint a picture word art show. Van Gogh meets Rambo, paint brushes and ammo. Suit and ties my camo, I blend in chameleon. From the gutter look a million, dressed in all white Siberian. I'm a charismatic Sicilian, lyricism Olympian. Soaked up game from Crooked Eye, the negative image of Eminem. Positively his synonym, ranked in the top 3 minimum. I'm a student of the God flow, I come from a rip in the time continuum.
It's
It's good, huh? I think we should break down the lyrics. I've got a 300 watt subwoofer underneath my chair, so it feels good. Watch the camera shake. Oh, wait. My God, my house is literally shaking. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear his lyrics. He sounds kind of angry. There we go.
All right. This feels awkward. I think I need to put this down now. So, hey, welcome. It's a Shelf Help Show. I'm Jeffrey. That's Johnny. That song was from Venezi, David Veneziano. He is he's a rapper. He's a producer. He's in production. What's that?
Engineer.
Yep. We worked in the same place. You know, you often you'll have your talent, and then you'll depending on what your talent is and and the nature of it, you may not always be able to do it or make a living doing it. Kind of like this. Yeah, see? Guys, I made $100 in 9 months, so we're fucking killing it. All right? Do you understand what that means?
On its way, man. It's on its way, baby.
I'm paid. I'm a paid artist.
Slow growth, baby. Slow growth.
That means all the money that I've spent on all this shit to figure this thing out, it's all tax deductible. I have $100 worth of income. I have about $4,000 worth of loss. Yeah!
Someone's taking it down.
You add the alimony, which I'm not going to tell you guys how much. I have zero taxable liability, period. I owe nothing. With the, sorry about this. I shouldn't screw with the equipment just for effect, but hey, it's how I do. Here we go, we're back. So, just the alimony is enough to reduce my taxable income to zero anyways. So now that I got the business on top of that, I was glad when we renegotiated, when I realized she didn't ask for enough money, because I'm one of those guys who was like, you didn't ask for enough. We need to go ahead and refile. And she's like, okay. I'm like, it's just better that we don't have a discussion every month, like, can I get more money? Because that's not going to help our relationship.
Right.
So, and I said, let's put it onto the alimony, because that's until you get remarried or I'm dead, and not on the child support, which is more temporary, so it doesn't put you in a bind faster. She's like, okay. So I went and paid $600. I refiled everything. And they're like, you're here to do what? I said, she needs more money. We need to put it on the alimony side so it's more permanent. And then she doesn't have a tax liability on it. And then I'll get a tax write-up, which is fine. The paralegal who did the change was like, hey, so you're single, huh? You're about to be? I was like, yeah. She's like, so? I'm just saying, I got divorced once, and it didn't go like this. I was like, yeah, really? I mean, once you realize that you're not wanted in the relationship any longer, you have a choice. You can either be an asshole all the time and make things worse all the time, or you can try and be pleasant occasionally and take it out on your kids. So,
and then go into therapy, and then 28 years later,
yeah. I used to, and I told my one spouse, Lisa, I said, you know, remember when we refiled so you can have more money? She goes, yeah. I said, I use that story and it gets me laid. I just want to let you know. So she said, you're a pig. I'm like, I don't use it to get, it comes up in conversation because usually I'm dating people who are divorced also. And we're all like a year in and we're all still raw, so we all still talk about that shit. So I'm just like, here's what I did. And they're like, oh,
you're a keeper.
Do you want to marry me? I'm like, no.
Okay. I don't know if that was a real sound effect or if that was an actual car behind you, but that was perfect timing.
It was, yeah.
Oh.
I live on the border of the ghetto, but I'm not quite in it. So they can afford cars that, you know, have mufflers that sound like that on purpose. So anyways, shelf help. Let me check your sound, buddy. I want to make sure that you're coming across well. So we were going to have Kyle G on tonight to talk about creationism, and apparently we got our signals crossed, and where I thought Wednesday at 8, he thought fuck you, I'm not doing it, or something like that. I don't recall. I don't recall what it was. Well, this is not coming across well. How about now?
How about now?
That was good. Hey, I should probably take a look in chat and see if anybody's paying attention. You guys can cue me. So I want to make sure. If I don't get the sound right, it makes it an awful, especially video on demand, to come back and listen to it later. So I don't want that to be the case. So. What's that?
If it's all distorted or you can't hear anything at all?
I can hear you. Usually I get a little more in my cans that I'm getting right now. So I'm gonna double check.
You know that volume, man.
You sound a little tinny, but that's because you're probably just on the regular.
Yeah, there's no headphones, just the speaker mic.
Yeah. Let me check, but it's okay. You're coming across all right.
Yeah, man, it better be.
So who's out there in chat? Let me pull up chat. Restream chat.restream.io. If you're on Facebook, I may not be able to see your chat unless you actually go to chat.restream.io/FB. I can drop that in Facebook for you, or I'll put it on the show page. If you're on YouTube, I don't know how you got there. I don't tell anybody. That's just my repository right now. And if you're over on the shelfhelpshow.com website, I don't remember if I paid the bill. Is it still on? Let me know. Let me know. There is merchandise for sale, and there are some affiliate marketing links if you want to lose weight and get a keto diet, take some company-sponsored fake math or something. Those are all available on that site, too, because it is the new year. So, new year, new you. If you want to have less of you, then that's the way to do it. I don't believe in eating right and exercising. I just say take a lot of stimulant drugs and see how that works out. So. This public service announcement, not sponsored by anybody. Don't take my advice. It's not a good idea.
I'm going to concur.
Why? I remember the first time I did. Just a quick aside while I double check this. The first time I did Atkins was probably like 25 years ago, because it was popped up and it was new, and they're like, you can eat meat and vegetables and that's it and lose weight. And I said, oh cool, let's try this, and it worked. No sugar, no alcohol. The alcohol was only for like 2 weeks. Once you got your ketones up and your glycolysis was happening, you were actually converting stored fat into glucose for your brain. Once you got on that cycle, you can go back, and as long as you had sugar free, you can drink like liquor, not beer, and you didn't have to worry about the carb count. So I was like, 2 weeks no booze, I could do that. Mm-hmm. Lost a bunch of weight quickly too. It's amazing if your body is completely out of balance, how fast, if you give it the right push, how fast it will get back in line for you. It's really kind of nuts. So I lost a bunch, and people at work kept asking me, like, what are you doing? How'd you lose? You look great. What are you doing? And I got tired of going like, I'm on Atkins. Like, oh, that is the thing. You can eat bacon. Oh, shut the fuck up. You guys don't understand the science, and you think every yeah. And the people are like, oh, well, that's temporary, because as soon as you start, listen.
There's always a shit can in the house, man.
What's better, permanently 300 pounds, or temporarily, like for the next few years, like 220? And then maybe I go back to like 260 when I get lazy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What's better? You want to be able to, where do you want to swing? Between 305 and 320? Or do you want to be down, you know what I mean? Like, people are illogical. But, so I started making up a story about my diet instead. I said, well, I'm on this new plan. It's called the Methodical Plan. And it's very methodical.
I was going to say, spell it for me.
Yeah, Methodka, Methodka.
Methodka.
Yeah. So
why the K? Just out of curiosity.
Marketing, I guess.
Did it look good? Is that why when you looked at it?
Yeah. At a side glance, you thought you were looking at. You thought you were looking at a Smirnoff bottle. So,
what's up?
They said, well, how does it work? I said, well, you wake up in the morning, you do meth, and then afternoon, like meth, and then late afternoon, a little more meth. But not past 3 o'clock.
Dude, and don't forget a bowl of ice cream.
No,
with a bunch of you gotta have something, man.
You gotta have the sweets. That's true. That's true.
A bowl of ice cream with I'm thinking like Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
M&Ms. Maybe a chocolate chip muffin in there.
Yeah.
Maybe just one time.
Yeah, and then at bedtime vodka, because you gotta counteract the meth. So just drink, blackout, and then start over.
That, or maybe smoke some heroin.
Yeah, I was trying to not mix, because they're like, it's not healthy to mix them. I'm like, it's really not bad. If you know that one is a stimulant, the other one's a suppressant, then you're gonna. We call it doing the Elvis. You're just adjusting the buzz, right? You're adjusting the buzz.
Turn the volume, baby. Give me a little more to the 11, man. You
start piling on benzos and narcotics, then you're going to be in respiratory distress. There's nothing wrong with a mild speedball, guys. Come on. Ask Belushi.
I gotta get a couple hours sleep. I'll be fine.
Right. So they're like, "Are you kidding? I'm not sure if you're kidding or not." I'm like, or meat and vegetables.
Yeah.
I don't know. One sounds better than the other. I did one when I was 20.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
It was a tough year, but I looked good. I looked good. Okay. You got to the end of that diet plan. I had to take 5 days off to sleep and overcome the DTs. And once you get past the skin crawling and you want to tear your face off part, aside from the chronic depression that lasts for another year, it's not that bad. Drug addicts are pussies. Get off it.
Learn, man up.
I am the moron who purposely got addicted to speed when I was 20, on purpose. I set out to see, I wonder what it's like. I want to empathize with that. I've never known what that feels like. And I did it, and it worked. Mm-hmm. And it did, and I was addicted. Mm-hmm. And I hit my year mark, and I was like, yeah, well, the fact that there's a hole in my sinus cavity from snorting this chemical up my nose, I do look good. I do look good. I was going to college full time.
Dude, you're 20.
Like,
come on, man.
So, yeah, I'm stupid. Hey, Johnny. So,
it's like tiger time, man.
Oh.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's like, man, do I just want to insert and go?
Yeah, people are like, well, are you surprised that you survived your 20s? I'm like, not really, because I'm surprised I survived my 40s and I'm in it right now. Yeah. So I've made equally poor choices. This is a satire, by the way. If anybody thinks this is true, of course it's not. Satire. If you're a future prospective employer, satire. Go Biden, yay. I'm not sure what the right thing to say is. But I was like, if you have a taste for things that are different than your existence now, when you're 20, then you'll probably contend with that. If your life circumstances change, you go, hey, I know a comfortable thing I can do, mm-hmm. and there's a lot more now. What's this? You can order this online? Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's an unregulated chemical synthetic derivative that is the same as X, and another one, and now this one's like the two of them combined. Mm-hmm. This is 4A. It's crazy. This is 4-ACOMET. This is like the psilocybin without the upset stomach. You're just going to go into fucking trip immediately. Have fun. I'm like, that sounds great. What's this? That's DMT. That sounds great. Anyway, it's amazing what crazy stuff was out there, Johnny.
Yeah.
When we were youngins, it was like you knew the one person in the neighborhood where you can score some weed from.
Yeah, right. And it had a bunch of fucking seeds and stems.
Yeah. And you did. Everybody gathered around. You're like, hey, you got an apple?
Yeah. And it's like, hey, man, do you know how to roll a joint?
Right. Yeah, I do.
How to roll a good one.
Right. There was no blunts. It's not like today where you go into 7-Eleven and they got freaking cones and gear, and you're just like, I didn't think that would happen in my lifetime. I'm shocked. I'm glad.
Yes, I'm here.
Glad.
I'm actually shocked as well. Yeah. It's funny. It's like, I'm thrilled to finally be at a place where things are finally changing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, I come from a different perspective and the way I grew up and how I saw things, and to see them change, finally, it's, fascinating. And what I mean by that is, open discussions about everything.
Mm-hmm.
From transgender to, LGBT to, conservatism to, radicalism to, you name it. There is no subject right now that's like not discussable. Right.
Yeah, there's no real taboos. So
at this point, no. I mean, you're talking like, what's the guy that died in prison with the underage, women?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. To that, to climate change, to Russia going on right now with Russia. But there's always something. Always. Is that good, bad? No, but there's always been something. The only difference now is that there's plenty of information overload because we're getting it here.
Yeah. IQs have gone up. The scale of IQs have gone up basically year after year because of this damn thing. You wouldn't think that it has. Unfortunately, reading level in the United States is still like the 7th grade level. It truly is. But and the average IQ is still 100. But you have to understand that IQ tests they're gradient and they shift. That curve shifts with the population, and recent studies have shown that, let's say, the difference between a high school graduate and a college graduate, like an undergrad, is like 8 IQ points. Okay, so you get through high school, you've increased 8 IQ points from middle school. You get through college, undergrad, you're another 8 points up. So let's say if 100 is the mean and the median, then if that was the case, if you get a master's degree, then the assumption would be that you would be somewhere around 125, 130. Genius level happens at 140 and above, 145 and above. Below that, though, you have people that are, talented, creative types, the people who become engineers that make a difference in life. And if you look at the arc of how fast we have gained in technology and understanding of everything, it's because everybody has access to information to the degree where the population is going up by 8 points every year, no matter what. So you have what would have been considered almost genius level in 1950 now happens with your 9th grader. They know more, they understand more, they comprehend more, they can logic more. And even though we all think that they're just idiots because everyone thinks the younger generation are idiots, they are just orders of magnitude smarter than any person in history ever was, which is crazy. But what happens when you're that smart, though?
Yeah. So I think what a great, topic point, right? Because you look at how humanity shifts, and whether we look at the turn of the century, as a bad example.
Yeah.
So here we are in horse dune buggy, and
right.
All of a sudden now we have the motor vehicles and electricity, and this was just this coming of age, manufacturing, production, and then you go further back to that, and you talk about the development of villages and the towns and the cities and how farming and agriculture. So as we evolved, as humanity, we've evolved, sure. But as a species, have we evolved?
Right.
Right? I think that's what you're saying.
Exactly. Is our
rates of suicide? There's high rates of depression. There's still high rates of sadness. People are still suffering like never before. So those ailments haven't gone away. So
right.
It's like it's nice that we have all the creature comforts, but we're still miserable, right? So.
If the ailments haven't necessarily gone away, they haven't gone away. We know how to define them even better, which means we're easier to label ourselves with something. So if you know, and now you hyper focus. The idea behind Shelf Help Show is my motto is we're all hurtling towards our death at an incredible rate of speed, and there's nothing you can do to slow it down. You can't stop it, and you can't slow it down.
And enjoy the ride, man.
And on top of that, we are all, there's so much information overload that we feel like we have to figure out what's the meaning of it before we get there.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this: even if you knew what the meaning was, does it really matter? Honestly, I don't think it matters, dude.
I don't know if it does.
But what matters to me is, why am I not fucking happy? Why do I wake up feeling miserable?
Maybe that's the meaning of life.
Fighting myself in the head. Why am I always struggling to just get ahead and feel better? Why am I so angry? Mm-hmm. Why am I so sad? Why am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking what the meaning of life is anymore. I don't give a fuck. I just want to be fucking happy.
Maybe that's the meaning of life.
Right?
That's the meaning then. The meaning is...
but you know what I'm saying? It's like, at some point it's like...
Why are you meant to suffer?
You got to figure it out.
To me, that's the question. Why are we meant to suffer? You mentioned something when we were talking off air that oh, here we go. Come back. What the hell did you say? I just forgot.
I don't know what I do all the time.
Fuck. Well, whatever. I forget. It has something to do with what we were talking about, I'm sure, because otherwise I wouldn't have gone with an aside.
It does for me, so when it does, just pop in. But
yeah.
No, I just look at it like, like what you were asking before. It's like, with the advancement of technology and how far we've come with information,
yeah,
you see how the effects can also happen, with misinformation, right? So, it just goes to show that at some point, personal accountability, personal understanding, taking responsibility really is an important part of personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I look at it like, until I begin to accept the shit that I've done to myself, in my life,
yeah.
I can't sit there and blame you for yours, right?
Right.
Talking about your daughter earlier off the record, earlier, it's just like, it's that same concept. It's like, who am I to judge?
Right.
Anyone, right?
Right. We all have our own. We all have our own shit, and we keep it here. And we're so fast to. It's almost like we find relief when other people have that same shit, And I'm happy to talk about my daughter and anything. It doesn't bother me. I made mistakes, or I made choices that I'm not happy about. I made choices that weren't perfect for my oldest, Kelsey. I don't know if they were perfect. I was in a situation as a young man where I made choices that did not put me in her life on a regular basis until she was much older, and then it took us a while. We were a slow start even then to bond and have the relationship that we both kind of hoped we deserved. And I can have all this regret from 30 years ago. Or is she? How old is she? She's 93. Okay, she's about to be 29 end of the week, end of the month rather. I can have all this regret about the choices that I made, and I can stew and I remember. If I go back and remember how disappointed I was and how, like, I didn't know what to do or how to do it. I didn't know, like, I was a young dad, and it was not an ideal situation, and I was held at arm's length, and I let that happen. I let it happen. That's my disappointment in myself. I let it happen. I would never do that now. After having my first child, just to me and my wife, I was like, fuck, this was life-changing. I mean, absolutely life-changing moment. I'm like, I miss that with her. So, yeah. And I was like, I can hold on to that regret always, or live for today.
And it's interesting that you share that too, because it's like, I look like yourself. I look at all the different dynamics in my life, and I look back and like you said, I can look back and find regret in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I always say to anyone who's struggling and going through, it's like, look, man, you don't have to tell me where I suck, dude. I already know.
Yeah.
I can kick my ass better than any of you. Trust me. I do it every single day, every second of the day. I'm constantly fighting myself, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, at some point that shit it gets tiring.
Right.
So where do you find relief? Or you find it in everything.
Right.
Sex, alcohol, drugs, therapy, vacations, money, gambling, you name it.
Podcasting. The wheels are turning, Johnny. The wheels are turning.
Yes, I can see.
So yeah, you find relief in all those areas. Is there? I always found that anxiety, depression, negative emotions, and I call them negative emotions because they're not the ones that give me a smile. Maybe they're not negative emotions. Maybe they're necessary emotions. Maybe the negative emotions feel bad because your brain is telling you that you have to reckon with something. That's why it feels like that. It's like a pain response. If you cut your finger, your body goes, ow, fuck, it hurts. And then it sends out dopamine to say, okay, well, we don't want you to actually die because of it. It's not that bad, but take a look at it, right? And then every time you bump that wound, that pain response comes back, and that's your body saying, hey, you're wounded, dumbass, but look, we'll throw some dopamine at it so you don't stop because you have to still live your life. It's just a cut, right? Maybe that's why those feelings suck like that. It's like when you're quiet and you're laying down and you're thinking like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead, and then all the regret things come back and you just go, fuck, and it feels horrible. If the pain is like, it's like sometimes it's a dull ache, sometimes it's sharp. You know, you want to run away from it, but maybe why we're wired to contend with it. If you resent, that's your brain telling you that you have to contend with something. Mm-hmm. If you have shame, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. These are all precursors to really bad outcomes. Mm-hmm. Resentment and shame are good warnings that there's something to deal with. But why do we mask it instead? Why is that our go-to?
You know, it's funny. Growing up as a kid, I grew up in an all Italian neighborhood. We were one of the few Puerto Rican families that moved into that neighborhood in the 70s, and we got yelled at every possible
spick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like 7, 8, 9. What do I know, right? And
right.
And I'm feeling anger, and I'm seeing all this anger. And it was during the 70s, and just everyone was just miserable. This was a horrible time, right? And fast forward to today. Here we are. Everyone's fucking miserable. It's like
right.
Nothing's changed, dude. It's like, all right, so what's the difference? Nothing.
Right.
We're fucking miserable. That's all.
We're miserable with cooler stuff and easier way to communicate. But do we use it effectively?
No, not at all. And that's my whole point. It's like, have we really evolved? And here's the truth. It's like, I'm not happy because I refuse to look at myself. I want to blame you for everything. Your fault, man. Not mine.
Right.
If only you would change, or if only people just do this, man, how amazing everything would be. And everything would be perfect.
Why the mentality? Why is that pervasive mentality of it's not fair? Even though we don't say it out loud, that's what we're saying. It's not fair. Yeah. We measure ourselves against everyone else and everything else and go, it's not fair.
You're going to lose every single.
Right.
Here's why. It's like, again, I just look at it like, where's the dissatisfaction coming from? Why am I dissatisfied? Why am I not happy? It's like, man, if I can just get that girl, or if I can just get that job, or if I can get that car, if I can get that right bet, man, that right cryptocurrency that's going to make me a millionaire tomorrow, baby. Whatever it is, right? I'm banking on something that's not present. It's not here. It's not now. You're creating these false expectations.
Why do you chase the dopamine?
Yeah, man.
There's to me there's a human spiritual part of it, and then I always also like to look at the evolutionary biology and the neurobiology aspects of it. It's the same reason heroin feels good. The same reason why your pain response is your brain pumping heroin to that wound. It's the same thing. Why? But so why? We're fighting against this biology that is wired this way. Like, why the fuck, as a biological engine, are we wired with serotonin, oxytocin, norepinephrine, adrenaline, dopamine? Why are there like 6 specific neurochemicals that run this entire fucking engine? And who put them there?
So break it down even further, and that's a great point. So molecularly, or when you look at the molecular structure, we can basically say that there's probably they're saying anywhere they may know maybe 5% of what's inside the molecule. The remaining 95, maybe 90%, they have no idea.
It's like they're like it's empty space,
They have no idea.
kind of.
Same thing in the universe. They have no idea.
Mama Fox says we mask them because those are feelings that were unacceptable to talk about. Okay, that's a social it's a social construct, right?
Absolutely, yes.
But why is a social construct pervasive across cultures all around the globe?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a real good point because I look at it this way. It's like, we have movies, books, events, shows that all constantly talk about we're in the matrix.
Right.
So it's just waking up to consciousness. So, for me to wake up is to feel pain.
Mm-hmm.
When I feel pain, hurt, it attracts me to be like, hey, be aware of what's going on. So it draws me to the present. As an example, when someone that we love passes away or dies, what happens to us? Get in shock. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Shock.
It was gone. Oh my God, I'm in shock. And what we're really saying is I'm present.
I'm present. I am here in this moment.
Now. And I don't know how to handle this.
Right.
Because I'm typically in the past or I'm typically in the future.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding the present.
That's a perfect.
I don't want to feel pain. That's why. Emotional pain.
Right.
Emotional pain is in the psychology of the mind, like you said. It's a drug. That's it. I'm dripping myself, man.
Always.
My fix, man. I need my drama, man.
Well, being present because of the pain that's such a good. Wow, that's a really good perspective. It's the same thing. Any traumatic events. I worked in auto insurance or property casualty insurance for a lot of years, and one of the things that we would try to train people is to doing customer service claims, whatever the case may be, is to be empathetic to the person that you're speaking to who has had a loss. It's a car accident, it's whatever the case may be. A lot of people have never been in a car accident. Most people have never been in a serious one, and even far less than that, have lost somebody, to an accident, who's died. And trying to get them to have a perspective of the human condition when something shocking happens, it would take a lot of work. They'd be like, oh, they're just it's another person, whatever. Oh, sorry, you had an accident. Oh, your kid died. Yeah, sorry to hear that. So, anyways, I'm gonna have to ask you some questions, and they just go rolling past it. And I said, it's you can have the same impactful conversation if somebody has a loss, or as opposed to if you're trying to educate somebody to prepare themselves financially to make that situation suck less if it ever happens. And if you're gonna educate people on why they're buying this product, educate them on what it does and why it's impactful. And I said, have you ever been in a car accident? Like, oh yeah, I got an a fender bender. Oh, okay. Well, what happened? I mean, the bitch ran into me. I'm like, okay, but what happened? So, did you just keep driving and you went about your day? No. What happened? Oh, well, we were stuck in the middle of the intersection. It was embarrassing. All these cars came. Then they had to call the cops, and she was yelling at people. And it took like 3 hours to get out of that. And it was not a huge deal, but her airbag went off. I'm like, okay. Your life stopped the moment that happened. Do you get that? The moment of that impact, your life stopped and it changed. The course changed permanently. Because you're going about your day and you're going about your business and you're going about your routine, and just like every day you get to work and you check your bumper to see if you ran anyone over because you weren't paying attention because you're on autopilot. And we do that. We're ants, we're worker bees, we do it. I said, but the moment of something like that happens, your life changed. I was like, yeah, kind of. No, it changed. Whatever you were going to do next did not happen, did it? No. And there's a chain of events then that also did not have the chance to happen. If you were delivering a cake to a birthday party, it never got there. There's impact. Everything is impact. Everyone around you is impact. You forget about that because once it's over, you go back into your brain, heals itself, from the traumatic situation, and you're like, well, we get everything back to normal. Let's get back to drinking. Let's get back to video games, pot, and jacking off. And it doesn't take long before you reset, and you're like, it's no big deal. But it's anything in life that stops you, and like you said, it's pain. Whether it's fear, whether it's shock is sadness, whether it's disgust, there's something there that everything stops. And why are we afraid to live there? Why is that the worst place to be? It's the most likely place to be.
Hey, great question, and I'll tell you why. It's called conditioning. It's called we've just been doing this since the beginning of time, right? You had mentioned something earlier about recognition of how the brain recognizes serotonin, dopamine, the receptors, and its ability to kind of grow. Through our years of evolution, right? That's the thing that I'm always fascinated by. You and I have constructed in today's environment, and what we've recognized has just been shared information over and over and over and over again, from century to century to century, right?
Wait, this isn't the first time this has happened?
Yeah, right. So, I'm getting all of the same OG information that was shared from someone else. So when I finally get a minute to stop and finally be with me, whatever this me is, and I can meditate or just breathe or just be consciously aware, I recognize that everything around me is all full of shit.
Yeah.
That's what's scary.
Yeah. That's that
bullshit.
That's that hurtling towards the end. Like, you're like, wait, there's nothing to hold on to.
Nah, dude, just enjoy the ride, man. This capitalism, cars, women, clothes, all this shit you're stressing about doesn't mean fucking diddly squat.
Right.
Dick. Love. What matters is compassion. What matters is kindness. What matters is growing together and being, loving towards one another. What matters is loving the earth. What matters is being, just open heart, and healing.
Wild. No, it's...
People feel fearful and buy shit than love and buy shit, so,
It's wild. I've talked about it before. Commercialism was invented. It was created as a way to get our minds off of what the fuck was going on around us. And you have religion, whatever religion is. You have something that centers people's point of focus and gets them to pay attention to things that give hope and don't stress about the things that don't matter. And commercialism was the new religion. You had the baby boom. You have 80 million new souls on the fucking planet over the course of 5 years. They're like, we got to do something. We keep having wars.
Well, dude, here's what you were saying earlier. We're brain feeding them right out of the cradle.
100%.
Parents are just shoving the devices in their kids when they're like 2 and 3 years old now.
Right.
Here, entertain yourself. Watch this video while mommy's talking on the cell phone to Aunt Julian about some drama bullshit she saw on the Beverly Hills of Housewives of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is insane.
It's crazy.
We're communing.
Right.
As human beings, we're forgetting the roots of what it means to just talk. To spend time with one another. When was the last time you cooked a meal for your loved one?
I ordered food to the hotel room.
You know what I mean? So, the idea of just being able to cook a fresh, delicious meal for your loved ones is so, it's like, man, times have changed.
No, I do it.
Now you just order that shit and it comes to your door.
I live alone, so I'm a cook. So I would do that. I cook for my kids when they're here, 100% because I like the community of it. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the store. What are we gonna have? We get a protein, two vegetables, and what do you want? Like, let's do it. What do you guys want? And they craft it together, and it's family.
There's something to be said, and the reason I share that is because you're talking about earlier in the brain, in recognition of energy and how energy flows.
Yeah.
Energy is about. It's movement. It's a communal movement. So when you're with people that you love and you're communing with that good energy and you share that energy and you take that energy with you, and you're bringing things with you. It's like you're taking all of this stuff with you. You come home with it. You make meals with it. You cook it, you eat it, you ingest it. That's that whole process, to me. That's what makes life fulfilling. That's what makes life exciting and fun, and we've gotten so far away from that, I think.
We were talking about memory. We were talking about memories. It's like, why is it the memories that you have are the pain always stands out. The pain, the regret, the shame, the resentment. They speak to you, and unless your good memories are something. I went on my first cruise, or your first something. When I bungee jumped the first time, I remember that.
Being born, that was a
right. You have those things, but we focus on all the pain stuff in between. And why the fuck are we wired? I want to know why we wired this way. Obviously, think about it. If you were to make an organism, if you were going to make something to produce an outcome or act in a certain manner, what was the point of making it all suffer the whole fucking time? Why?
Yeah. Here's the thing I love about it. It's like this. Like this. One sperm.
Yeah.
One cell.
Yeah.
One cell. One sperm.
Yep.
Boom. And then all of a sudden, bam, here we are.
46 chromosomes in.
You know what I mean? Here we are.
Or 47 if you're John Trapp.
But it's just one cell.
Yeah.
So that one cell has enough memory, enough data, enough information to make a full human being. That's insane.
That's beyond insane.
Right? But it's
this is why I told people when my son was born, and it was my first childbirth experience, and they're like, "Dad, do you want to?" Yeah, I cut the umbilical cord, and I was like, "Oh, that was spongy." Uh-huh. I kind of wanted to chew on it. And then it was tougher than I thought. Can we make jerky? But they handed me my son, and I was like that feeling was something I never felt before, and I look at him and I can't catch my breath. I don't want to, and I'm just bawling, and I'm looking at him, and I had two thoughts, and this is 100% true because I told it right away, and then I was told I was crazy, but I don't care. I said my first thought was I would kill everyone in this room, including his mother, to save him if I had to. I literally contended. It went through my head. I'm like, yep, and I would slit her throat too. That was my love for this boy. I would destroy everything around me to save him. That was love that I didn't know what love was until I held my son and looked in his eyes. And it was pivotal because that first experience was overwhelming. It was the same experience for my daughters too. And then the second one, I warned Lisa before with the daughters. I'm like, I'm going to kill you if I have to, bitch. All right, push. So why do you tell that story? I'm like, because it's true. I wouldn't, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. So the second thought I had, and this is my question, like, why are we wired this way? I don't get it. I don't know. I said, if you can look into the face of your child and not see the face of God, and if you don't believe in the universe, the greatness of it all, the connection that we all have, if you can look at that and not feel and see that, the absolute vastness of humanity and the connection that we are all goddamn connected. That moment I looked in his face, I was like, the universe, heaven, hell, the universe, everything came into focus in that moment. I was like, oh, I can't contend with that. Oh, shit.
That's pretty mind-boggling.
it it put me in touch with, just for a moment, but it put me in touch with something I had never felt before, which was we are all connected through this. We have, minus some people with issues who can't, but we have as a species, we have the ability to do this. We replace ourselves with, like you said, a cell and a single cell and a sperm come together, and it creates a model based on the two people that do it. And
mind you, that model, by the way, is millions and millions and millions of years old. I'm carrying my grandfather's 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 grandmother's whatever family lineage in my body. So there's something to be said, like you were talking about earlier about this pain analogy, right? And the reason I shared what I was saying earlier is that when looking at how and where I come from, like in conditioning, I'm conditioned to believe that a father is supposed to be this. A mother is supposed to be that. A dad does this, a mom does that. So all of these constructs get created. And then when people don't fit within those constructs as we get older as children, and we grow up and realize that our mom and dads are human, they're not the super beings.
Right.
Then we wake up and go, oh my God.
They're just as scared and flawed as we were.
Right. They're just as fucked as we are.
Right.
But then we wake up and realize, they've just been passing the same shit on that was passed on to them. That was passed on to them. That was passed on to them. That was passed on to
Right. Where do you pattern interrupt that line? Who's responsible for the all right, you know what? I'm changing my 23 that I'm going to volunteer to that next project is going to be different. I'm going to have, oh shit, Johnny. Old soul, new soul, that concept. Since I was a little kid, little 3 years old, people told me I was an old soul because I would have an understanding of situations I should not have an understanding of, and I would react appropriately in them, and they would shock the fuck out of grown-ups. Like my grandmother's best friend's husband passed away. I was 4, I believe. I don't remember this at all, but I come up to Margot, I take her hand in mine, and I'm like, I'm so sorry for your loss, but you'll be with him again someday. And she just fucking shit. Everyone was like, what did he just say? It's like shocking, pleasant but shocking. Like, this shouldn't come from a child. And I was like, well, I was probably just mimicking everyone around me. Like, no one said that. No one said that.
Yeah, and I want to interject real quick, and that's where the conditioning bullshit comes into play. Because in traditions, children are born into where they're going to be. But anyway, go ahead.
Children are born into where they're going to be. What do you mean by that?
So, an example, like you were born into this world already with a certain level of knowledge and understanding of the spirit world.
Right. Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the people around you are not awoke; they were asleep.
Right. Yeah.
They couldn't see this beautiful spirit boy.
Or they, luckily, the Lutheran women were also like witches too. So they were like we get it, because my grandma told me. She's like you're an old soul. I said, what? I lived with her when as an adult. She was my favorite person because she was my protector. She was my safe harbor in life. With my grandma, my dad's mom, and I was with her up until the end when she passed. As an adult, and I was fortunate to have that opportunity. She didn't come back and haunt me like she promised she would, though. She's a liar. Wait, unless she was the one who touched my toe in that house that I lived at for 2 years here?
There you go.
Fucking grandma, stop that shit.
Right up, bitch.
That was you. 25 years later, what's wrong with you? But yeah, I was like, Grandma, I thought we were Lutheran Christians. Like, I don't understand. She's like, those are answers, but they're not all the answers. She's like, all the answers are everywhere. Like, you can't. This provides comfort, and it provides routine, and it provides community, and that's why we do it. And I was like, what the fuck? You guys are all messing with my brain. Oh, sorry. And lean off the mic, Jeffrey. And she's like, energy is all around us, and you have to believe that if we think we go someplace when we pass, then that also means we could come back. Because I think this is my grandma, a little woman from Arkansas, who used the N word and didn't mean bad things from it. She's like, if your energy moves on, then I think your energy can come back. And she goes, you ever meet people who you feel like you've known them forever? Then the second you both speak, even though you have no history in common on this earth, you're best friends immediately. I said, yeah, a couple people. And so some people talk and you listen and you hear their voice and you hear the words and you're like, it feels like home when you hear them. It feels like you're drawn to them. And then other people, you just want to run away from them as fast as possible. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And she said, what do I know? But you have been here before. Your whole life, you've known and understood things well outside of your intellectual capacity, well outside of your age. And we just know it. We watch you. Like, who? Yeah, but what, witches? But she's like, we watch you and we just know. She's like, you're charismatic. Like, aren't you curious why people are always drawn to you and they want to talk to you? And I'm like, it's because I'm funny. Mm-hmm. She said, no, you're funny. Grandma was real. You're funny is to protect you from the reality. I was like, oh. She said, there's a lot of responsibility with those of you who have been here so many times because you understand already. And she said, maybe it's a Hindu thing, somebody's got it right, but I think your job is you're going to keep circling back until you perfect it, until you either change people or you change yourself or you become more. When you have done the job, whatever the job that was given you by God or by whomever, when it's done, then maybe there's something else to do. But you'll keep coming back and helping people, and you'll keep coming back and helping yourself. And she said, I think the criminally insane, I think it's their first time. Mm-hmm. She's like, look at why are people different like that? Mm-hmm. People are born like that. She said, criminally insane people, probably their first shot at it. It's going to be rough. It's going to be painful because they don't understand it yet. And she's like, the people who are, spiritual and the people who change the lives of millions, they've probably been through it 20 times. Mm-hmm. They already got it. Mm-hmm. They just act in a way that it draws people in because they're confident with, oh, that's fine. And they're not bothered by the little things. They don't stress about the things that don't matter. Mm-hmm. And she's like, that's just what I think. Mm-hmm. I was like, Grandma, how many times have you been here? She's like, maybe 3 times. You probably 12. I'm like, does Pastor Mark know about this? She's like, he's an alcoholic. He hits his wife.
Yeah, that's not the answer, but nonetheless, right on. That's awesome.
But I was like,
that's funny.
How do you contend with that?
Yeah. Well, how old were you?
The first time or when she told me this?
Yeah, when she told you that.
I was probably a young teenager.
Yeah. So when you're growing up and you're getting all this kind of information, one of the things that's really hard is acid when I was 12 years old, right? And the thing that I learned from that experience, and I think I shared this with you once, was that it projected me and shot me and propelled me way beyond what I was prepared for. I was not ready. I couldn't handle it. It was just too much. It was overload. So it took me 20 plus years to try and catch up. You know what I mean? And you were talking earlier about, birth, being there and watching that go down. And, the same thing applies to me, when I think about the same thing with Einstein, when he talks about the time of relativity of time, when a woman knows that she has her baby, we talked about this once before, that she immediately feels it. She knows immediately, I'm having a baby.
Yeah.
And she starts preparing and getting ready. We have no clue. We have no idea. We're fucking, we're goofing along. And then when we're there, finally, when the baby is delivered, and we're finally in the room, we finally get all of the information and we're hit. Boom. Again, like death. We're shocked. But instead of death, we have birth.
Yeah.
So here's the irony. We treat death as a shock, and we treat birth as this amazing thing. And it's the same.
It's just transfer of energy.
The same. But that's where I'm talking about this conditioning. We were just conditioned, and it's selfish when we lose someone. Because I'm missing you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being selfish because I miss you. It's selfish to miss someone. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just call it what it is. Don't deny it and hide it and call it something else. And so it's like words matter and how we present what we say and how we say what we say. But when we're young and impressionable, when we're growing up and we're getting fed information, you need more than just, you've been here before. Well, what does that mean?
Right. What do I do with it?
How do I get through this with that information? Right. What is it going to benefit me? Do I need to cultivate this? Is there a talent behind this? There's more to just words. And that's the lacking of what we were saying earlier about the idea of sharing and caring with one another. About being present and being here today to be able to work with other people and help them get to where they need to be. That's why we get through depression, sadness. But instead of using drugs and alcohol and other, methods to get us through this pain, one thing COVID has taught a lot of people today is that you're going to have to deal with this pain one way or another, Mr. or Mrs. You can't keep fucking running from it, and that's what I feel. I've just seen a lot of people just having to face a lot of these fears that you have to stop.
Yeah.
Take a minute and say hi to yourself. Check in with you. How you doing, man? Are you all right? So you don't wake up one day in shock that all of a sudden you have a cancer diagnosis, or right. You have a tumor there, or something health is wrong, or you know what I mean? There's ongoing things that we just keep stuffing and pushing away. And eventually it's going to come to head.
Why do people start living when they find out that they're actually dying faster? Why is that the moment where they're like the best years of his life were the 2 years he spent dying?
Right?
But all your years you're dying. Do you understand that? That's my point. Mm-hmm. We are all hurtling towards our death, and you can't stop it. So, like Ferris Bueller said, you got to stop and look around once in a while.
Yeah, man, enjoy it. That's one of the hard parts. It's like, look, dude, I've hurt my entire life. I've gone through a lot of pain, man. I've lost a lot of loved ones, broken hearts, relationships, it's like marriages, failed marriages, like you said, all of that stuff, it's like, but I'm not the only one. You've gone through it, and 300 billion other people on the planet have gone through it.
Yeah, it hurts. Get over it.
Going on since the beginning of humanity.
Alice, our acupuncturist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alice, when she was asking me questions, I said, I brought one point up. I said, there's something that I carry with me, and I'm trying to put it down. Mm-hmm. And it's not the fact that my marriage failed after 20 years, which is shocking. It's a long period of time. To me, it feels like it's a dramatic period of time. Like, if you made it 20, could you have made it more? Or maybe you shouldn't have made it 5, and if you held on for 15 that you shouldn't have. In hindsight, right? And I said, it's
whatever, dude.
I said it's not that, and I said it's not that it failed. I said there's one piece, and I've almost forgiven myself, but I know I haven't because I'm bringing it up to you. Is I feel like I failed my family. Because my family was the thing that I always wanted. And to me, the family was not distance, not far away, not lose that connection. And I've lost a lot of connection with my kids, even though we're 20 miles away, just based on life. I have to live mine, they live theirs. maybe our relationship wouldn't have been any different. Maybe they would have ignored me the same way if I lived in their house full time. Maybe it's better off that I get them on the weekends. I try to have that perspective. I said, but that point is I'm a strong person. I've always felt like I'm a very strong person. Force of will, force of nature, immovable object, unstoppable motherfucking force. That being said, how is that not enough for me to keep everyone together? That's my sense of responsibility.
That's such a great question, and there's a form when we talk about masculine energy, and feminine energy, and it resides in both of us. It's the yin and the yang nature of things. But in masculine energy,
You're more feminine than I am.
Yeah, we're protectors in masculine energy.
You're right.
And that's a big part of who we are. And so when you're raised with a healthy understanding and a healthy perspective of what it means to be a man, then the notion of caring for your loved ones and being there for them is second nature. It's just okay. It's part of who you are. The problem is that I was told that that's a big part of what it meant to be a man, was to be the provider, to be there constantly, to be the rock, to be the unmovable. I'm going to get through this. I'm the badass. Yes. And then let's forget about everything else. So you're this now. And then when that falls apart, what else do you have?
There's nothing
else to fall
there.
back on. Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I had to wake up to.
Yeah.
So to stop and wake up to that kind of shit, Jeff, I don't want to fucking deal with that. I don't want to look at that. You know what I mean? That's some ugly truth. And that meant that I lived a lie.
Right.
And so I can rebuild this truth now. With knowing this new truth, I can go, wait a minute, then I can be who I want to be. I can do whatever I want to do. Oh my God. So I can be like a little kid again and rediscover myself again and start playing and imagining and dreaming and going, what do I want to be? It's like I can be anything I want. All right, well, let's go for it, And it doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
You can do it at any time. And that's the exciting part, is recognizing. That's why I love children. When you look at kids in parks and playing and you hear them laughing and running around, and it invigorates you, right? You get excited from the sound, or at least I do. And I'm like,
and then the police are like, sir, we told you. I'm just watching the children. They make me feel, tingly inside. Is that wrong?
But it's funny because it's just like, but having that excitement and realizing, when did that go away?
When I was 12. When I was 12.
Yeah.
I remember giving it up. When they say, I think it's in the Bible that, it says when you are told, or society tells you that you have to give up those childish things. It's time to give up those childish things. And I remember doing it, and I remember my heart broke when I gave my mom my stuffed animal, my Mickey Mouse. That was my guy. He was not actually a Mickey, but he was a mouse. And she's like, do you want my sister's 2 years, 10 months older than me, just enough to make you feel insecure all the time. Not on purpose, but her.
Of course not.
When you're little, that's a lot of growth, right? And she was like, Mom, you can go ahead and take my stuffed animals and you can put them away. And then my mom checks in on me. Did you want me to do that for you? Did you want me to put Mickey away? And I was like, I had the thing since I was born. He was my protector. He was the comfort. I wasn't a thumb sucker, drag him around sort of kid, but he was on my bed when I got there. And when things were scary, at night, you put him near the door, And I remember that moment. I was like, I have to reckon with. I'm in the 6th grade. I'm 12. And I was like, whoa, it was heavy. I was like, yes, Mom, you can take him. And it was indelibly printed on me at that point. I was like, ah. And she took him and she said, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And I'm like choking back a tear. But I'm like, don't cry because you're 12 and you're a man.
That's it, right?
And
that's where it starts, dude.
It broke my heart.
Absolutely. And here's what happened to that energy. What did you do with that energy?
I probably shoved it down, went and found a dirty magazine behind a liquor store,
Exactly. And did something
did
fucking
something to
feel
get a
better.
different chemical
Absolutely.
reaction.
Absolutely. You know, and it's like, again, the energy has to go somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's either going to go in a positive direction or it's going to go in a fucking negative direction. That's all.
Hustler, I think it was positive.
I'm sure it was positive for the moment, you know. But you know, it's like I look at it and I go, at some point, I have to just go. When do I begin to start like? When do I begin to stop beating my brain, you know, and be okay and just get this, you know? And a big part of that is through meditation, you know. And meditation, interestingly enough, can take on a variety of different forms. It's not just sitting in a prana stage and just trying to be quiet and peaceful.
Yeah.
You know, walking, you know, taking a bath, you know, exercising, you know, anything that's like repetitive.
Smoking in prime time.
You know, that's just repetitive. You know, that's the shit that works. You know what I mean?
When I turned 40, which was obviously yesterday, I had my version of a midlife crisis was to cast off the adult things. And I had a conscious metamorphosis. So this was the Democrat who was supposed to fix everything got reelected, and I knew things weren't being fixed, they were being muddied. And I was suddenly tired of politics. I discovered political talk radio when I was 12, and I decided I was going to go to college for that, which I did. I would get into that, which I did. It was my passion. I liked the drama, the constant bullshit that went with it. I like it a little bit now, and I do a little bit now.
Energy, yes.
Right? I was 12 years old. I gave up my Mickey Mouse. I fell asleep listening to talk radio every night. And I thrust myself into the adult world at a really fucking intense rate. When I turned 40, I said, what am I doing? I've been involved with this shit since I was 12, and I didn't get my outcome. I don't like the direction things are going. It makes me unhappy. And it's not because I pick a thing, it's because I'm just watching everything. And I'm like, no matter how much energy I'm putting into that, I just realized again, I'm not influencing it. I understand the process of the democratic process. Yeah, you got to get involved, have a voice. But here's the thing: if you make it your life, it's the wrong life to live. It's not a good life. It's a lot of manipulation, and it's a lot of noise, it's a lot of shit. And I remember looking at my wife, who doesn't care about any of that stuff. She never has. And I would get mad because she didn't want to listen to me talk about it. Like, I married the wrong person. You don't even give a fuck. I can't even express myself. But she was like, I was like, and I would be angry at her. I mean, how is your life, and this is the fun part, right? How is your life, you listen to 93.7 on your 1 mile drive to work, where you work 6 hours and have a lunch, and you work 33 weeks a year, and you act like your life sucks all the time. I drive 25 miles to work, take the kids to 3 different schools. I work 12 hours a day, and I'm door to door with kids. It's 16 hours before I get home, and then I'm doing homework, and then I'm going to college, and I would stack my shit up. And then I'm not even getting the outcome I want in politics. And the country's not going the direction I want it to go. And my conservative libertarian ideas are not being honored. You know, and I was like, wait a minute. I just said her amount of stress is this much, and she's equally as stressed as I am about life. And then I gave myself this much, and I'm angry because my influence is not there. And I'm like,
such a good point. And you know, when you said about anger, and that's such a very volatile and controllable medium to work in. An example, any extreme is never good. That's all. Too hot
Never.
or too cold, never good.
Climax is good.
In between, perfect. Perfect. Perfect right in between.
Mm.
It's never too much on the left and it's never too much on, it's perfect. It's never this. It's just this, man. It's all good, right? So at some point in my life, I got tired of this. Like, when is it going to slow down, man? When is the drama going to end? When is everyone going to stop bitching? When are people going to stop? When and
Yeah.
never ending, man.
Yeah.
At some point, it has to end. For me, it's like, I can't do this. I can't keep playing this fake part. That's not me. I'm a human being. I'm a compassionate, caring, loving, kind human being.
Mm.
I don't own a gun. I don't, act like I'm fucking macho Joe Bilbo, because I'm not. But if you
Fuck
fuck
Joe
with me,
Bilbo.
I'll kick your ass because
Yeah.
I know how to defend myself.
Yeah. Corner
I'm
me
not
and
a
see what
pussy.
happens.
I'm not a pussy.
Right.
So it's understanding where the balance is, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not over masculine and I'm not over feminine. I'm a perfect balance of both. But it's not easy to be there, and knowing every day it's going to do this, it's going to constantly shift, both between masculine and feminine. But as long as I have that healthy balance, that I can keep that balance. It's when I'm off balance that I become too masculine, or I'm overly sensitive and rolling in my feminine energy. It's like the both
Right.
of them. Or I was grown up with lacking with none or the other. It's like, how was your father growing up?
Calm,
Was he
stoic.
present with you all the time?
Did he what?
Was he present?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He worked. Typical baby boomer guy. He worked. They went to church on Sundays. Went to lodge on Mondays. He had worked out in the garage and did stuff, tinkered, but he was calm and present and reliable,
Mm-hmm.
consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and would give me the life lessons in the lectures and tell me, son, I know this is going in one ear and out the other,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to repeat myself. And he gave me maxims and parables and life lessons always, always.
Mm-hmm.
As he passed when he was like 63, like 10, 11 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and heartbreaking, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
because he was my hero. He was like, life sucks, get a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
He was a realist, but he was also spiritual, and he was also, practical. And he would say he had the shortest temper in the world, and I'd say, no, mom does. He's like, no, no, you just don't see mine. There's a difference, and there was a lesson there.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I have a very short fuse. I'm like, no, Dad, you're not. No, I do. You have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, but you don't act that way. He goes, correct. You can act however you think you should act, but you have to understand, is that going to help? Is it going to make it better? Is it going to matter? Like, you have to decide where you put that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you can go off. He goes, and you're an emotional fruitcake like your mom. And that's literally exactly what he called me all the time. You're an emotional fruitcake just like your mother.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, oh, are you disappointed in me? He's like, you think you can change everything. You think you have to be responsible for all of it. And he's like, son, when you stop making choices that complicate your life, things will get so much easier. I was like, it's not my fault she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
What? Who did that? You're freaking out about the outcome of everything, but those are all the decisions that you make. You just have to be aware. Be present when you make decisions. You can choose. You stop worrying about everything that's not in your control.
Mm-hmm.
Just live and pay attention. Yeah, you'll be fine.
So where do you think all that came from? Like, why worry?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, Alice will tell you that I'm a middle child.
Mhm.
My mother would tell you that I was the cop. She called me this cop of the world. I was
Uh-huh.
police. I policed everything.
There you
Excuse me.
go. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. Is that within the rules? That's not a rule. She's
Uh-huh.
like I was the biggest rule breaker, but I always knew where they were.
Mm-hmm. You got to know
Estab-
the rules so you know how to break them, baby. That's how
exactly.
it works. Yeah,
And,
man.
and Alice too. She's like, so you're a button pusher, weren't you? You like to see how you can manipulate people to their fucking pew, and then like my mom would like you, Alice. Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. What's the need to control, label, and to control and label everything? This is something my buddy Matt pointed out to me. He goes, "You think that if you can label and define everything, that you can control it, and you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Why? You will
That's
say,
it. That's the brain. That's how the brain works. That the brain wants to, at least for me, I've always understood my brain wants to analyze everything. It's the numbers. It's a mechanism. It's a constant CPU. It's a processor.
mm,
So that's all it's doing. It's just looking for information to process. And so, being born the way that I was raised, the minute it finds something to grab onto, it just loves repeating. So a big part of getting the control, if you will, of the brain, in meditation and or just slowing it down and not letting those thoughts take over all the time. It's like just calm. And someone asked once, it's like, what's it like to meditate? It's like it's almost like there's nothing. For
mhm.
a minute, you just don't think of anything. It's just quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah.
There's just nothing.
It's
It's
not
not
that things are right. It's not that there's the
I'm
opposite
not like
of
I'm stoned or
chaos.
I'm like in some
Right.
high level euphoria. Just there's just a moment of peace that I finally my whole body is able to rest because the thoughts that run through our mind reverberate like energy. It's a vibration, and it vibrates through your own physical body, which communicates to your cells. So if you're thinking negatively, it's going to communicate negatively through your entire body. So as an example, when you're depressed and sad, how does your body feel?
Yeah, like you're being pulled to the center of the earth.
Oh. But when you're feeling
Yeah.
good and healthy, you're up and you feel vibrant. So that's the communication that occurs. So it's being cognizant and aware of the three different elements in which we exist in. We just don't exist in the physical world. We also exist in this spiritual world, whatever you want to call that. But there's also a connection of the mind, the body, and this physical soul thing that you were saying earlier. Call it whatever you want. I don't know what it is.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend to know what it is.
Right.
Some people want to call it God, that's fine. Some people call it universe, that's fine. Whatever it is.
Right.
But I'm not going to say I know what it is because I don't.
Right. But if you
But I
if you
know
if you
there's
can
something.
if you can give it a description, then you can be conscious of it.
Right.
Right.
So I just know that it's there. So I'm conscious of it. So I'm aware. So that's all I'm trying to do on a day-to-day basis is consciously connect to my present. Who am I right now? And then do I really have any worries right now? And when I think about it, I have none.
Right.
So where's the worry being manufactured from? Well, it's being manufactured from here. Well, why am I manufacturing the same shitty thoughts? Well, stop manufacturing them then. So then redirect your thinking. And then you become the masculine master of your mind. But you can only cultivate your masculine energy through understanding your feminine energy. And that means being compassionate and kind to yourself. Jeff, you will give your whole life to your family. Like you said, you will kill everyone for that boy. But then it's time to take that same love and then give it to yourself. And that's where we fail. I gave my love
I
to
do
my
it in bits
kids.
and pieces,
Of
and
course, I
then
feel
I feel
myself out
guilty.
there. Yeah, and I feel guilty. That's not
Right.
right, dude. That's not cool, bro. You gotta love you, man. And that's my whole thing. It's like there's nothing wrong with loving ourselves, and it starts with a thought, and it just takes time. It's practice, but it's just like any good discipline. The discipline. People think spirituality is this kind of goofy spiritual groovy man, and it's like no, and it's a commitment and it's a dedication, and it's a discipline if you want to achieve that. That's why it's a self journey. No one can do it for you. You know what I mean? Anyway, so that's my soapbox.
I like it. No, I like it. You know, I started doing this podcast because it was part of me loving myself. And part of me loving myself is also sharing. It's when I share, it's because I'm embracing whatever that part of me is. And I'm the sort of person who I find a lot of joy in giving somebody a glimmer of hope, giving somebody something to think about, or just even reminding them that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm. The big one, man.
You're not alone. That's the self help is you don't need a shelf full of books, dude. You don't. You need some community.
Mm-hmm.
You need a narrative. You need some people in your life because your narrative breaks over time and it's hard. If your narrative was your family and now it's broken, your narrative gets splintered. So make a new one. Make a new one. Find people that are like-minded, or even just people who can benefit from your lessons. And share. Maybe your lessons are to just be quiet and present for them, and to let them know that,
Yeah.
whatever that might be. Meditation. I started meditating when I was 11 years old, and it was out of necessity because my brain is always run at a million miles an hour. I had anxiety, like the worst anxiety, because I just felt like the universe was going to crash around me and I couldn't prop it up.
Uh-huh.
And I would have.
Man, you came in with all that energy, brother.
I did. I came in. In hindsight, I put a lot of things together sometimes, and I'm like, well, if you've been here before and you're also 8, and you have this limited lifestyle, you have all these rules and regulations of how you can exist, share, and your sphere of influence is non-existent, and you're trying to get through it, and there's something inside of you going like, there's got to be more, there's got to be more, there's got to be more. Like, how can you not contend with, like, something's wrong because this is not it. This is me in my bedroom reading a book because I'm grounded because I got a D in social studies. This is not what this is about. I'm panicking because there's so much going on, and I have to get out of this.
Right.
Growing up was hard because I felt like I needed to get out of it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is not where I belong. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's funny. Some people will say, and this is like you, I'm always fascinated by other people's interpretations. And one of my favorite interpretations of that is that your spirit, when you came into this body, you're like, what the fuck am I doing in this body?
Right.
This is it. This is what I got to work with. This sucks. This is all I got. Come on, man. There's got to be more than this. And it's just you getting acclimated and just finally getting comfortable with being in this fucking skin suit. I like that idea. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just like the idea of that somehow, like, because I am getting more comfortable as I've gotten older. You said something earlier. Are you surprised to be, still alive? And it's like, in my 20s, I thought I was invincible. Thought I was the king of the world, dude. My shit was fucking tight, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 28, 29, 30 started kicking in. I hated my 30s, because it was like, shit, I'm still alive. My 20s are over. I don't know what my future is going to look like. This fucking sucks. And then all of a sudden, when I got to my 40s, I started to relax. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad after all. Maybe I'm going to be all right. And then when I got to 50, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't give a shit. You know what? I don't give a shit about people. I don't care what they think, feel, or whatever they're going through. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean it, I don't let it bother me like it used to.
Right.
One of my problems is that I was an empath. Feel people. So I feel your energy. So when you're sad, man, I feel it. When you're
Yeah.
not happy, I feel it, all that stuff. So I had to learn how to protect myself from everyone's negative energies or their
Right.
emotional baggage that they throw out every day. You see it at work. You know when people are throwing out their baggage, how you doing? You don't even want to ask them how they're doing.
Right. Right.
How you doing? Because okay, here comes the baggage.
Okay, you're about to take it out. You're about to take that energy from you because you know that I'm gonna accept it, and you're gonna take it out of you, and you're gonna put it into me, and I have to contend with your shit. And then you say, "Thank you so much. I feel so much better."
I
Of
haven't.
course you do. I own your shit now.
Uh-huh.
That's what an empath does. I absorb your fucking emotions, and I'm like, oh, another weight, another weight. I'm like, I have a bad back. I can't carry all this.
Right. That's right. And at some point, I got to that place where it's just like, I don't care. It's not my baggage.
Yeah.
And I started to realize I can let it all go because it's not mine. It was never mine to hold to begin with. And so, and again, I go back to the question of it doesn't matter why. It's just a matter of the fact that I know now. I know that I'm carrying this baggage. The why will come later. The most important part is recognizing that I finally see that there's a problem. Let's address the problem now. And let's begin to fix that problem because there is a solution. I can fix that problem. And the way that I can fix it is through here, with a thought.
So what do you do? So I'm. This is something that's fascinated me for years. I've taught my kids this. I've taught anyone for probably the last 30 years when I kind of understood it. I said, everybody tells you that you should have a goal in life. There should be a thing, whatever it might be. You should go to college, or you should learn a trade. You should do X, Y, Z. You have things that you want to do. I want to be this when I grow up. I want. Everybody wants something that's other than what they have now, and we're wired that way. And I said, and then we if we don't reach it, we're disappointed, and now we have shame or regret, whatever the case may be. I said it's a weird cycle that we do, and I said, so if we're wired to achieve something, why is it that we don't teach people how to do it? It's always this forge your own path, figure it out bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, here's the truth. If there is a goal and you want to achieve it, the first thing is remember that if you have a lack of clarity, in the absence of clarity, move forward. Because moving forward will not be a detriment. Moving backwards will be a detriment. Standing still will be a detriment. Standing still is not always a detriment. Backwards is definitely. So nonetheless, take a step. Don't be afraid. It doesn't have to be the right step. However, if you want to actually achieve something in life, then take a moment and process and think about it. And if you can't figure out what the specific step will be, then talk to someone who's done it.
Mm-hmm.
Or your fucking dad if he didn't think enough to actually tell you the specifics. Because we lack that. We're wired to be motivational. We're wired to give people support. It feels good. You see someone achieve, you want to congratulate them. Most people are wired that way. Good job. That's cool. Or maybe we're jealous because we didn't figure out how to do it. But I said, here's the thing: is don't live and die on that. If you're not sure what to do and you think that it's something that you want to do, then ask somebody for help. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I want to get a degree in this. I literally don't know how to even start. And they're like, well, go to school. No. Back it up. Break it down. Back it up. Break it down to simple. You can't get through college from the point where you haven't started, because you don't know even what's the step.
Mm-hmm.
The step would be, let's get some information from that college and find out what that program looks like. Then, no, we got to back it up further. What's the name of the college? How do we find its information? That's your first step. Fucking get the name. Look it up online. Let's look for courses and degrees. Like, that's your very first thing. Like, you stress out because you're thinking like, oh my God, there's so many things between here and the outcome. It's because you don't know. It's okay if you don't know. You have to say, I don't know what to do. Literally don't know. Oh, you'll figure it out. No, I don't know. Because we avoid that. We avoid it. Now we have that fear response because we don't know. It's as simple as look it up, put the name on the computer, find the thing that says catalog, look for degrees, and then look for classes. What's next? Did you pick something? Yeah. Let's figure out how do we get them to let us do it. That's literally the next step. Then there's going to be a money concern. How do I pay for it? Where do I get money from? Do I have a job? Do I get a loan? There's so many barriers to fucking success and entrance because we don't seem to want to tell people. We think everybody has to struggle through everything. And then we're like, why are you so unhappy? Well, I failed at everything I tried to do because nobody actually told me that there's a way to get there.
Well, that's kind of what we were saying earlier. It's like when you eventually start waking up and you can start taking personal accountability, right? Where you start to go, you know what, at some point, I got to stop relying on other people because all the information they've been sharing with me along the way has been a bunch of bullshit. And then there's some good information that does come through, but I can't tell the difference now because I can't really know the difference between what's real and what's not, right?
Right.
But what I do know is this, and you said something earlier, and the first thing that ran through my mind was the word desire. So, there's a misinterpretation of words and how we use words all the time. So when we look at what you desire, there's nothing wrong with having a desire. But when there's an attachment to the desire, then that's where the problems begin. So that's really what we're talking about, in my opinion, is when we attach ourselves to something. And by what I mean by attachment means that I'm going to put more energy in the outcome of what's going to happen. So if I get this degree, then I'm going to be set. If I get this job, I'm going to be set. If I get this girl, I'm going to be set. This is it, man. And then you get it. And then nothing happens. Everything's still the same.
Right.
You're so miserable. You're so frustrated. You're still unhappy. You're still not satisfied because it all goes away.
Right.
What you were saying earlier, dude, and I'll come back to where we were talking about. We're just hurling towards nothing, man. So enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Be conscious and aware. It's like I honestly believe now. I get it. It took me a while to get it. Which is consciousness is just being consciously aware of itself, and just being processing through itself. So now I'm a part of this consciousness, and I'm working and playing with it, and I'm alive with it. I'm gonna enjoy it, and that's it.
There was a motivational book that I was given in the year 2001, and it was called Fish. And they take us corporate manager types and give us a fucking book to read and then be like, all right, here you go. We did our part. You should be inspired. And that's what corporations do. We gave them a book. And I this is
hobby, baby.
Exactly. And I remember I sat down and I'm in a room with 30 other leaders. Yeah. And they're like, here you go. Here's a book on leading. And there's a 10-minute video that went with it. And it was about the Fulton, it was in Washington State. It was like the Fulton Street Fish Market. And the book was about the attitudes that they had at that market that made them so successful. So they show a video of people at a fish, they're fishmongers, and everybody they're hooting and hollering, they're coming in hungover as fuck or still drunk, doesn't matter, they got their stuff on, and they're selling fish, right? And that's what they're doing. And they're like, all right, halibut coming up, and they're throwing this 50-pound halibut across the fucking boom, and they're catching it, and then people are clapping, they're all excited, and they're like, this is the this place is known for the energy that they create, right? And it's good. 15-minute video and the short book, orange book, fish. And so we're all everyone at the table was like, that was really good. And then they're like, okay, well, we're done. And I was like, wait, we're done? What did we just spend this time here doing? They're like, oh, well, we watched the video and we got the book. I'm like, well, what's in it? What's the lesson? I said, I got up and I took over. I'm like the newest 24-year-old supervisor. A bunch of people have been there. I've been there for 6 months, and I rose fast, so everyone hated me. And I'm cocky, and I'm a know-it-all. So I get up and I'm like, guys, look, there's 4 concepts in this book. If you don't have a plan to execute it, then you sitting here saying that was great means nothing. They're not paying us to watch a video and read a book and do nothing with it. 30 of us in here, it's a lot of salary dollar wasted if we don't walk out not only inspired, but have a plan on how to pass that forward. And so the bosses above me, who had not taken control of the meeting either, were like, yeah, what he said. So I was like, look, this is it. Here are the concepts. It's a very simple way to have joy in what you do. And it is here. It's number 1 is play. They have fun. They play at their job. It's work. The work still gets done, but they don't look at it as work. It's play. It's mindset. The other one is make their day. Okay, make their day. You're interacting with people. Make that person's day. Bring joy and pleasure to their fucking moment. And that's what they do. People pass by, they smile, they laugh. It's endorphins, they're happy. They just impacted somebody's whole day, right? So you got play, make their day. Be there. It says be there. Or be here. I think it was like be here. Be here. That means be present. The guy who came in hungover didn't say, because I'm hungover, I will not be present. I'm here.
Hungover. But I'm here, baby.
I don't feel good because I made bad choices. That's nobody's fault. I'm here. I'm present. I'm part of the team. And I'm going to play with you guys. I'm going to make their day because I'm here. And the last one is choose your attitude. I'm like, guys, this is Confucius. This is fucking Lao Tzu. This is Jesus Christ. It's in a fish book. It's only 4 ideas. And you just understand that you got the answers to the universe right here because this is your life. Choose your attitude. And I said, if you go back and you look, they're like, well, I had a bad day yesterday. My girlfriend broke up with me and whatever, but I'm here and I'm not going to be a shithead. So I choose to be positive and encouraging to people. What do you choose? I choose this. They're transformative because of that simple concept. Have fun with what you do. Play, make their day, impact others in a positive way. Be here. Be present. Be aware of what's going on. Choose your attitude. If your attitude is shit, check yourself. Because it's a choice. If you have to fake it until you make it, then fucking do that. It doesn't matter. Your attitude will change with it. I'm grumpy. I'm pissed. My life sucks. I don't like the way things are going. But you know what? I choose. I'm going to be inspirational to people today. Because it doesn't matter. They will not. They will see what I present to them. And then I will reflect that. They will reflect that back to me, and I will feel it.
And ultimately, also, to add to what you're sharing is that, and what I was saying earlier about being 50, I also really don't give a fuck if you're not inspired, because I just have to be inspired, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? But you're absolutely right, though. In the end game, that's why I smile, because I want you to be inspired. But if you're not, then that's on you.
Right. I'm not gonna own.
No.
Your negative outcome. I'm not going to own your attitude that you choose. Exactly. I'll own mine, and mine's not going to change based on yours.
Exactly, correct. Absolutely, that's a huge difference, and that's that empath. And it took practice. It took time to get to that place because it didn't come easy. I had to practice to block that stuff.
Right.
And to the point where it's like walking down the street and someone walking towards me, and I'm like, hey, and they don't say hi, and they just keep walking by, and I'm like, the fuck's their problem?
Right.
Like, what you get? I'm like, dude, who cares?
Right.
What do you
Right.
care? You're
Right.
never gonna see them again. And
Right.
if you cares,
Right. Your goodwill costs you nothing.
right?
It could gain you dividends, but look, if your goodwill lands, it could pay off forever.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, it's still goodwill.
Yeah,
It's
man,
okay.
all good.
It's
Yeah, it's all good.
okay.
Yeah, man.
You
It's
can
different.
you can impact everybody in your path every day if you choose to do so.
Yeah,
And
man.
I find myself, and I know you call it out.
Mm-hmm.
You call it out because you know what I'm capable of, and you know when I'm light and I'm ha, and you know when I'm frustrated by my circumstances and deadlines and the things. And here's the thing, Johnny. I chose that.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
I have in the work that I do, I have done all the things and I had my fingers in all the things. And then when it came down to, we need you to choose a thing because we got to replace. You can't be 6 points of failure for the company. You call out sick, everything stops. It's not good. Pick a thing. I said I picked this thing, and they're like, okay. And then I'm like, just this thing. There's so much pressure now. If you're doing 5 things, you can let one slip, right? If you're doing 5 things, you can let one slip, and they forgive you. You're doing one
It's
thing.
also like being a band. It's like it's easy to be in a band, but then it's like
Yeah.
when you do a solo gig.
You go solo, John Bon Jovi, and suddenly nobody likes your albums.
All on you, baby.
Right? You're like, oh shit. Yeah, it's like that. It's kind of eye opening, and it's funny because if I put down my work, and this is the thing that I know and I need to do. I do best when I interact with people, and I do best when I move the needle. Right? I can see it. I know if I put my energy into things, I could do that with people and with the technical work I do. I can do both. When there are things that are underlying that I'm being asked and forced to work through that don't immediately make that impact, and then people are like, well, what exactly do you do? I'm like, I'm underground doing shit you don't understand. Leave me alone. And I start getting defensive, and I'm like, look, I'm not moving the needle. That's so I'm not feeling the gratification that I get with that. I don't need people to tell me. I just need to see them. I know when I move it. I don't need somebody to go, hey, good job moving the needle. I don't need that. I just need to see it move. So I'm not rewarding myself, and I'm not rewarding. There's no reward, and I'm like, so here's the thing: if I spent 9 hours or 10 hours looking at porn on my phone in an office, clicking away and sending a random update about what I was doing, it would look like I was doing the same work. I hold myself accountable because I'm not like that. I'm not a fuck off sort of person. The moment somebody asks me, so what are you doing? Like someone asks, the boss asks what exactly you're doing. I'm like, fuck that. Fuck you questioning my ethic. Fuck y'all. I get angry. And I'm like, just because you don't understand, because I can't teach you to speak this language. I spent 15,000 hours learning this. Fuck you guys. Go to college. My job is not to teach you how to speak Sanskrit. Fuck you. Go to college. And I get all like angry about it. I'm like, in my head, I don't say it out loud. And I get this like weird, like, why am I? And I'm like, I have to stop. I'm like, why am I being like that? I'm angry because they just are like, we don't understand. I'm like, I shouldn't be mad at you because you don't understand. I can't tell you what my output is because I can't apply it to something now, because development work is developing things. So that takes time. And eventually, once it's all developed, you can see what it looks like when it's done. But right now, there's no picture. It's just film. Right? You've had the same piece of film for a month. I'm like, I know it takes a long time to develop it, but I can imagine what it will be when it's done. And then I'm like, why am I hating all this? Why don't I do things that just move the needle? Because here's the truth, and I know this about my energy. If I do the things that bring me joy,
Mm-hmm.
which is bringing other people joy, bringing other people success, it makes me feel good. I have a contribution for the day. I know that I can do that in a short period of time. And yet, I will spend my entire day working on something that you can't determine the outcome and doesn't make me feel good. It's just a thing I do. Why the fuck wouldn't I just spend an hour of my day, if that's how long it takes, and move the needle and feel good about myself, and then use that energy to be more effective in the other shit?
That's right. And I love it. It's the awakening, right? And that only happens, and again, and here's the irony, Jeff. So in India, the great sages would take off, and they would go into the forest and begin their journey. They'd run into other sages, and then they would bond together, and then they'd find a teacher, and they begin to share methodologies, and then the communities would develop and all this stuff. So spirituality then and spirituality now, worlds apart.
Right.
Way different approach. We don't have the time to sit still. And that's what's missing.
You see the wheels turning behind me? It's a perfect example of the machine.
Just stop. Give yourself a minute. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, to just stop the wheels of time to turn and give yourself a minute. And then you'll be able to slowly catch up to you, because we're always moving. We're constantly moving.
It's the white rabbit. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late.
Man, always, man. It's just like, dude, it's never going to catch up. But listen, I got to get going. I know it's going to get a little late for me.
Here, puss.
I got to get up early in the morning, but
here we go.
Yeah, man. Much different vibe, right?
Much different. Fuck the wheels turning.
Yeah, man.
Johnny, I'm glad. Thank you for doing this.
Always a pleasure. I love you, dude.
Your perspective is always welcome. I know you're an empath. I can feel you coming before you get out of your fucking chair. And being I feel like I'm a weird mix of human being. I really do, because I can work in a very binary 1-0. Who the fuck learns computer languages in their 40s? I'm weird. I can be. This is my joke. I can be in the Matrix, and I can be with people. And I'm really good with both. My transition between the two is painful, because I have to pull myself out of like solving conceptual ideas with a foreign language that I'm learning, and I got like, hold on, I'm looking at you, and then my humanity comes back, and I'm good at both. I love you because I can feel you feel my fucking energy going dark. And today was an example too. I wasn't in a bad mood, but I worked in the office all day, even though it's open door. My boss didn't say one word to me all day. He looked at me at the end of the day. He was kind of like this, like, and then left. I'm like, no, not even, with no hello, no goodbye. 9 hours. I get it. I am working, but I need that connection. And you come over and you're like this. You're like, come here. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, the weight of the world is not yours, dude. It's not yours. It's not yours. I'm like, no, it is. Who gave it to you? Me? Yeah, stop.
Yeah. And it takes time, dude. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, some people can do it really quick. I'm unfortunately not one of them. You know, I have to bang my head on the wall a few more times before I finally go, okay, I got it. And then I'm finally done, you know?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Thank you for the acupuncture appointment. I love you for that. It's a reminder that I needed in my life, going back to learning transcendental meditation when I was 12 and practicing for years and then stopping. But being aware of what it's like to focus on the things that are not obviously apparent, because they matter. And if you don't attend to those things, they will take control in a way that you won't want them to.
One of the things that Thich Nhat Hanh, who just passed away, the Buddhist monk that I absolutely adored. When I was having a really hard time, I was watching one of his videos, and he said, "Be kind to yourself.
Ah,
Be nice.
yeah.
And when you're angry, tell yourself it's okay. I love you, and you are okay to be mad, but I love you. And if you're crying, it's okay. It's okay to be sad. I love you, and I'm going to be here for you, and we're going to get through this together, okay?" And it's just basically you talk to yourself this way,
Yeah.
and that's the beginning
Nurture
of
yourself.
self-love. Yeah, self-loving, because you know what, dude? I didn't get it when I was a kid. Sorry. I grew up in a really harsh environment, so I'm learning to love myself again, in that way.
Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, man, you got it, baby.
My buddy Matthew Dixon, the guitar monk, he comes on the shows
Uh,
quite often too. He's since we were kids, he adopted this, and he he shares this with the world. It's what he does. He makes music and he shares this, and I probably need to connect with him again too because
on the show.
he's the other one like you where he's like, hey,
Yeah, man, get him on the
stop,
show.
it's okay, Jeff, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to control it all. He's like, who are you? Oh my, he did that to me. Who are you?
Uh-huh.
Who? And he kept hitting me with, who are you? Who are you? And he broke me down just by asking that question. Who are you? And I was like, I'm Jeff. And he's like, yeah, that's it. You're just Jeff. That's it. You're not everybody in your life. You're not every interaction that you've had. You're not every disappointment that's been there. You're not every win that's been there. You're not those things. You're just you. I was like, oh, 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 keep the razor blades out of the bathroom.
Man, all right. Moving on, baby.
But
Here's the vodka.
open on what is it? What do they say? I love you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so basically, man, hey, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Yeah, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
And thank you.
And thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you. Man,
I
that's
love
my
you.
mantra.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I say that all the time.
I love you.
When
I'm
I'm
sorry.
angry, when I get angry, that's my mantra. When I'm starting to cry, when I'm sad, that's my mantra. Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Yeah,
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
You're addressing all parts of yourself.
Yep, self-love, brother, all the way. You know. And again, it's all cellular movement. It's all energy.
Oh, that was
So
a full.
and here's the funny thing about it: as new cells replace the old cells that go away, the old cells transfer that negative energy to the new cells until you change your energy. So when that negative energy goes
Uh,
away and a new cell comes in, it develops your new energy.
right.
And so it takes a while. So that's that transition, because you're transitioning your body as well. So it
The
doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little while. You
the
know what I
first
mean?
law of thermodynamics, even
Yeah,
science proves it, is
yeah,
energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only changes forms.
right, right. So
So, what form do you want it to be? It's up to you.
I want it to be love, brother. Love.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, man.
On that note, I love you.
I love you too, brother. Have a
All right.
great night.
You too.
Bye, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. That was a good one. That's pretty solid. Missy, it's kind of like how I in my shows, right? That's what I felt when he started saying that. Love yourself, love one another. It's true. I think I'm going through some changes in life where I'm loving somewhere else than where I used to, and I see a future with my person, Rebecca, and I see her kids, and I think they're awesome, and I think I start to maybe have some. I feel guilty, because of life circumstances makes me differently present with my kids. Like maybe I'm taking something away from them. Maybe I shouldn't care for somebody else's family. Maybe I shouldn't project myself into a future with somebody. And it's ridiculous because I'm happy and I fucking love her to death. I really do. She's effortless to be with. I've never been with someone who's effortless to be with. To exist takes nothing, and that complete lack of effort, there's joy there. And here's the thing, I try hard at everything I do. I'm fucking crazy. I'm a psychopath. I hold myself to a standard of achievement. Like, I gotta do it. I gotta learn something. I have to make a difference and make an impact. I have to grow. I can't stand still. I can't be static. I have to change somebody's life or change my own. That drive is there because I have mommy issues for the most part. I get it. You throw yourself into achieving things because you think that is somehow acceptance. And I understand that I put my self-worth, I identify my self-worth by achieving things because that's when I would gain recognition. When I was not achieving, I was a pain in the ass. If I am achieving, then I am brag-worthy, or I am, I'm at least special enough to talk about. And I know it's why I do it. I get it. It's a weird transition because I'm happy and I desire the outcome of her and her family. I do. I'm making moves and changes in my life that will accommodate that. I had this moment with this relationship where I was like, oh, the number one thing I need to do is I need to be remote. The work that I do does not require an office. My employer requires presence in the office. It's not necessary. I'm looking, I'm going to move on. It's time. It's not unhealthy. It's a good thing to do. I'm going to move on and make twice as much money doing it wherever I want to do it because I don't need to be tied down. I don't need to have a commute to a place, to a thing. It's futile. I don't disrespect the place that I work. I don't at all. It's just not, it doesn't fit with what I want to do. And that's cool because I realize there's something I want to do. What I want to do is I want to live a life with a person who takes no effort to be with. And with a little bit of effort, I'm a fucking hero. It's not even to be a hero. It's to be with somebody who you speak the same language. It's remarkable to find that. I never thought in my late 40s I would find somebody who had all this like fucking energy and enthusiasm like I do about stupid shit. And we laugh at, when somebody laughs at your jokes because there's something else connecting you, like there might be a sexual attraction, so you think that, they're like, ha ha ha, you're so funny. You're like, I want to marry that person because they laugh at my jokes. And then you find out years later they never got your jokes in the first place. They just like the way you fucked them or whatever. Sorry. Man. Although my relationship with her came with a bit of a cost and, some upset among my friend group, I don't regret it at all. I've lost a whole lot more for a whole lot less. I have paid the price 1 billion times over. And my connection with her is ridiculous. I like her. I told her that today, and it actually made me kind of blush a little bit. I was like, you know what? I like you. Like, I like you a lot. Now, here's the thing. I told my ex-wife I liked her too, and I liked her a lot too. And then I realized I liked things about her, and then I didn't like other things about her, because when those other things became present and started, tearing away the foundation of the relationship, and you start to realize I had like 10% things in common with you ever, and I realized that, and we still move forward with it out of a sense of obligation or a fear of being alone. And I don't have regret because I love my kids, and I love her too for the memory of what we had when it was good. But we weren't well matched at all. We weren't well matched intellectually at all. Zero. The things we had in common, very little. We had values and how we wanted to raise our kids in common, which is why I'm very confident with her doing it 5 days a week and me doing it 2 days a week. She's a good mom. She's a good person. She's a good human. Not good for me as a spouse at all. Like, at all. My daughter told me that, my Haley, 16-year-old. She's like, Mom's a Capricorn and you're a Sagittarius. Oh, bad mix. No, bad. There's volatile, nothing in common. Bad. Oh, you should never have married her. Fuck you and your zodiac truth. Then I met Rebecca. I'm like, Aquarius. I have 2 daughters who are Aquarii. My youngest and my oldest. 27th and 30th of January. And I click with them well. Even Haley, my Virgo daughter. Virgo. We do well, but she's a bit rigid. I met Rebecca and I was like, I just met my match in the universe. Huh. My match in the fucking universe. I was like, you think you're complicated, but you're not. She's like, I'm complicated. I'm like, you're not complicated. I'm crazy. I'm like, you're not crazy. You're a woman. I love that. You're a woman with masculine responsibilities. You're the breadwinner in your family. You fucking bought your own house. You took care of your ex when he didn't work forever. You're the man of the family and the woman of the family, and you do CrossFit, and you lost 107 fucking pounds. And you work out for 2.5 hours every morning, and then when I'm around, you want to come bump uglies with the fat guy because you love me. And yeah, like, okay, that's cool. So I'm a Chevy chaser. I'm like, cool, because I'm a Chevy. Even when I'm not broken in my back and my leg, which was only like 9 months ago, she's like, when was that picture? You were a lot thinner then. I was like, yeah, that was May. Tear your groin and be laid up for 6 weeks. Break your back and be laid up for the rest. Get COVID twice. Twice! That was May until fucking last week. That 6 months, guys, that fucking 6 months. If I hadn't met her, and this is a crazy thing, I had 5 other women I was seeing at the same time, broken. I was stupid. I dropped them, and I was like, you're interesting, I like you. I wonder how living alone in your late 40s, 2 major injuries and 2 fucking bouts of COVID, forced quarantines, with no one here except for your animals, and my dog and my cat died during that time. Do you fucking get it? My dog and cat died. Christmas Eve, my fucking cat died. 2 months before, my dog died, 17 and 22. They were our family pets. I had to contend with all that shit. Tear your groin, laid it for 6 weeks, break your fucking back. It's still broken. I'm trying to get through physical therapy so I can get surgery. Pain is constant. It's horrific. L4, L5, S1 are... I wipe my ass and my spine goes click! I'm not kidding. Click, and it hurts. wiping my ass. Click! I still got my ass out to California 3 times already to see my girl. I just wonder. March I started my podcast. May I got broken. I've been broken ever since, and I haven't fucking stopped. And by doing the things that I knew were important, which is do the things that you love to do. Do what matters to you. Be irrationally self-confident. And I am. This thing with Johnny was it's for all of us. Because I have my dark days. I have my down times. I'm physically broken. I'm transforming in a positive way too. I am. I'm having a little bit of guilt. I'm bringing in extra help. Acupuncture. Thanks to Johnny. You guys. Thanks to the fucking universe. Share your ideas. Share your thoughts. And I'm making this kind of metamorphosis. Not all of it is the way I want it to be. I wish sometimes, and that's part of my thing, in May when I was riding my motorcycle all the time and I weighed 45 pounds lighter because I was active, I was looking great. I know I'm a handsome guy, but I was looking great. I had the world by the balls. I was doing things I wanted to do. And here's the thing. When you pray to God or the universe or whatever for strength, be careful, because they will put that load on you so heavy that you will prove that you have to have strength to survive it. If you pray to God for patience, they will test your fucking resolve to see if you break. I never say what else can happen because I know it will. I don't. I try to count my blessings. I count my blessings. My last hurdle is my kids, and my daughter expresses, my 16-year-old Haley, who's beautiful and smart and wonderful and kind and naive as fucking hell. But guess what? The little lesbian, she has a boyfriend named Riley, and he's 6'3", and then he asked her out and they kissed, and guess who's not necessarily falling into a social construct anymore? My beautiful daughter. I'm like, don't get pregnant, bitch. But Riley asked her out. He's 6'3", he's handsome. She's a beautiful young lady. She wants to have kids someday, later. But guess who else came back? Kelsey. She's about to turn 29. And she decided, after we've started and stopped that she's taking care of herself. And part of taking care of herself is also having a relationship with her dad. That happened 2 weeks ago. So no matter where I feel those things are that stress me out, I think that as human beings, we are equally as afraid of positive growth and change as we are as negative growth and change. Right? Change it's different. I'm in love, and I'm like, my love is going to create fear for my daughter, and that's what I was going to say. Is my 16-year-old said, like the 3rd week in a row, I was blabbing off about Rebecca. She's like, oh, Dad, I'm glad you're happy. I said, thanks. Me too. It's rare for me to be happy, just for me, selfish happy. She said, but can we not talk about it right now? I was like, yeah, sure. Why? She said, I'm happy for you, but it makes me sad. Well, why does it make you sad? She said, I feel like I'm going to lose you. That's a hard thing to contend with. So, I reassured her, of course you're not going to lose me. I'm your dad, you know. I'd do anything for you. But I had to look at it from her perspective. Mom and Dad broke up. Mom brought a guy in the house right away. Everything was upheaval. It was fucking awful. And it broke them. Their continuity was broken. Everything was fucked. And I had to walk away from it. I had to walk away from everything I had fucking built with her. It's just say it's yours and his now. Enjoy it. And knowing that it was the right thing to do because somebody was going to wind up in fucking jail otherwise, you know, I had to break my kids' hearts because, you know, that's what it feels like. I felt like I abandoned them, and I let them go through that shit. Even though everything's worked out finally, you know, it has. I have that. They have that PTSD fucking moment, all their fucking files, and it wasn't me giving it to them. And I have this responsibility, like I said earlier, I should have been strong enough to hold it all together. That was my job. Why the fuck was I not strong enough to counteract her, you know? I know I'm a good dad. I check in with them. I love them. I talk to them. Haley called me to tell me about her boyfriend, you know, like she knew I would be proud. Rebecca called her to ask her, I heard something, there was some news. That was very sweet, you know. There's all these good things. But like that moment, it's heartbreaking. It's like, I feel like I'm going to lose you because they know what they lost when Mom changed and brought somebody in. And then I know they're going to lose a little bit of something. I know they are. The idea of, giving my love to other kids and another family, like, feels like something's wrong with it. I know it's not. I'm a genuine person. But I have this, this wound. It's weird to be happy and sad at the same time, you know. I'm genuinely happy. I genuinely am. I don't know. Can't be perfect. I don't know what that is. I just love my kids and make sure that they know that I care about them and they matter. They'll never be replaced. They'll always be my priority. If change wasn't difficult, I guess we'd all do it much faster, but I guess it's the face of happy. Because it's different. I really am. I love her more than I fucking have loved any other human aside from my children. And it's scary and it's awesome. It's great. It really is. The fucking metamorphosis, right? Caterpillar becomes a butterfly, or at least a big ugly moth. Guys, change is hard. Growth is hard. It is. But you know what sucks way more than this? Fear, stagnation, non-existence. The only thing better than having a cause is having a noble cause. And the only thing better than love is nothing. Not a fucking thing. Not a fucking thing. It's the best. It's my favorite. I've got a lot of it. So my tears, which I'm not ashamed. Fuck it. My tears are really of joy and of love. So, Missy, like I always say, love one another and love yourself. Like, do it for real. Love yourself. I love me. I love you. So, thank you. Yeah. We're going to be okay, aren't we, kids?